We asked some questions on the stream, and he's hopefully going to answer them. So, first one was asked by On The Gamer. Why did you decide to build the simulator?
Quite a few reasons. The main reason is I wanted to get into flight training quite, keen at a very young age. The reason being back that we actually built the sim was to, yes, help fun flight training. That was a very big aspect. But also as well, I've always had a very big enjoyment of flight simulator. I'm sure you
I have as well, yeah.
So mainly to help fun flight training, but also to give a good experience to you guys and the general public as well, to see what it's all about, to be a 737. So they're the main reasons, really.
Well, I've just done 4 hours. We flew from...
And he's knackered.
I am tired. Flew from Doncaster to Heathrow to De Gaulle to Geneva, and then we went into Innsbruck, did the challenging 08 approach, and how did I do? Honestly, how did I do?
Would you like me to mark you out of 10?
Well, if you want to mark me out of 10 for each landing, because I know the first one was a little bit...
Yeah. Well, you've got to take into account it is your first time in a big fixed space environment as well, but from what I've seen today with your knowledge, especially coming in as well, you've got very good knowledge. To say as well, it's, you're on your flight simulator at home as well, and also as well, being in a big fixed base environment, it's quite a daunting thing at first, but you took the workload on good. Mm-hmm. The first landing, especially when we came into Heathrow, needed a little bit of work. We said, outside that, we'll take that error and, and we'll make it better next time. But especially coming into Charles de Gaulle, was a lot better. Mm-hmm. And then Geneva, because we changed the conditions a little bit, again needed a little bit more work. But the Innsbruck approach took me by storm, really.
That was actually
good,
was probably the best approach I've ever done.
I had every faith in him. I was sweating more than he, and he was flying.
I'm going to show you something in a second. We landed with if you work that out, what's that? About 520 pounds a kilo.
That's
not bad.
Kilograms on there,
So is it kilograms? Oh, it is.
So even more pressure on it.
Cool. Right, next question was from MJ Deadman 21. How much did it all cost?
Too much.
Okay, that answers that one. That answers that one. Rough estimate? More than 10,000? More than 20?
You're going to be looking for a fixed base setup. Bearing in mind, again, if you're running it as a business or it's for private use, commercial software, all bits like it varies. But if you're going to be, for private use, you're going to be probably looking at in excess of about 30 pence.
There you go. So then Brilla67 asks, where did you buy all the parts?
The parts themselves, bearing in mind, some parts are out of an aircraft and some parts are from companies that are around the world that, we have to get the parts from because you just can't physically rip it out of an aircraft. The parts mainly were from a company called Flight Deck Solutions and a company called Sysmo Solutions.
Okay.
The seats and the yokes, etc. as well, they weren't from a company. They were from charity auctions around the world. Seats, as an example, from Illinois in America. Controls, I can't really remember where they were from. They were in Europe somewhere, but mainly the seats were probably the hardest thing to get. So.
Fair enough. An obvious question, and I think I know the answer to this one, but Ben White asks, why the 737?
Why the 737? Well, 2 reasons. The first one is it's always been my favourite aircraft.
Likewise.
Yeah, exactly. But also in modern day aviation as well, bearing in mind you have the 737 Classic and you've got the NG version as well. It's probably one of the most famous planes going in the industry, and for a training perspective, it's probably one of the most famous training aircrafts as well. So it's always been the 737 for me. It always will be.
Fair enough. So then Jay Spence says, how long did it take to build?
The physical build, i.e., getting everything in boxes, getting all the parts, you're probably going to be looking 6 to 8 months to build. Bearing in mind I had to work as well at the side of that. If you're going to be on full time, sorry about that. If you're going to be full time, then probably it'll take less than that. But the challenge comes is when you've built it is actually phenomenal. Getting the computer sorted, getting the software sorted. That's probably the biggest challenge. Not the building, screwing stuff in. It's the computer. So 6 to 8 months on average, and then probably an extra, half a year trying to program the lot. It's quite a lot of work.
Okay. So did you have help from other people to build it, or?
Yes, I had help with other people. It wasn't all by myself, so I can't really take all the credit. Cool. Other people helped.
Cool. Spud20516 asks, are you interested in aviation and how did you get into aviation?
I personally, I've been flying for about 5 years now. I've just completed my instrument rating, fully qualified commercial pilot now. I got into aviation from a young age of 14. I had my first trial flight at 14 as well. And when I left school and finished my GCSEs, I went straight into commercial aviation. It's something that I've always wanted to do.
So it's in your blood?
Oh, of course, yeah. Funnily enough, no family members do it. It's just something that I've always wanted to do.
And what's your end goal? Are you working up for commercial 737?
Correct,
or
yes. Yeah,
do you want to go higher for like 747 or?
My big goal, further down the line, is the 777. Personally, because I absolutely love that.
I like that aircraft.
It does. Sorry for 737 fans out there. Just blow it out of the water.
Hey, I love
really
the 737. I love the NGX. It's the best aircraft.
But as a long-term look, 777. That
Cool.
would be neat.
Cool.
It's real fun.
Yep. So then Zev2442 says, what aspect of the sim was the most difficult to get right?
The programming. Again, going back to the previous question as well. The
So
build,
linking everything together.
absolute nightmare. It really was. It's a lot of trial and error, a lot of perseverance. You expect a lot of crashes, a lot of stuff breaking down, blue screen of deaths.
Something not
absolutely a lot.
working.
Something not working, and it is a pain in the bum, it really is. But just like anything, and the thing that I've learned, I'm not very IT, you know, I've never been very IT, you know, but I think the more you trial and error with it, the more you actually get to learn about it, if that makes sense, and learn its behaviour. So mainly the programming and the software, the biggest challenge.
Cool. So a long one from Horn Fox says, what did your friends and family think / say when you told them you were going to build a life-size 737 simulator in your garage?
You must be crackers.
There you go.
Some people in agreement, some people in disagreement, but the way I look at anything is from a business perspective. Don't get me wrong, you know, it's great having a 737 at your own home, you know, but you know, I do it as a business, you see, and I've always had a investment mind. It's kind of not really a toy, really, in a way.
So you went into this knowing that you were going to have it as a business, not just for personal use.
Correct.
You weren't going to just, you know, fire it up one day, fly, and then shut it all down and leave it. You were going to actually promote it.
Correct, yes.
Right, okay, fair enough. Hannah Louise 91 says, what got you interested in flying and flight sims to start with? Back in the early days.
Ah, right, okay.
Back in the early days of Bradley growing up.
Ah, right,
What got you
I see.
into aviation altogether?
I was at school. To be honest, aviation, I did not have an interest in. I did at a very, very young age. Then I kind of had this kind of period that I just wasn't bothered about it, really. But it was only then that when my dad got me a trial lesson for my birthday, it kind of clicked when I was like younger. You know, I was very easy to buy for Christmas, model planes all the way. But you know, it was a trial lesson. I always remember speaking to my first instructor over the phone, and I kind of said, you know, I don't know if I want to do it as a career or I just want it as a hobby, you know. I started Flight Simulator at a very young age, you know, off the desk simulation. But it was very, you know, from that trial flight, I remember my instructor taking me above the clouds. That's just when I got the book, you know. And I just, from that day when I started my private pilot's license, I just could not see myself doing anything else differently. So yeah, that's the reason. From a very young age, it's just the love of flying. It's what it's always been. So.
Cool. Lol Sokia says, I think we've answered this, how did you connect all the peripherals and controls and functions to the sim itself?
I'll be honest with that. My knowledge isn't fantastic with the wires and the gimmicks all behind and stuff. I'm more for the flying side of things. You know, I have a person that sorts out the wiring side of things and the maintenance side of things. But it's the answer to that is a lot of wires, a lot of connections.
Ben White 123 says, what are the FPS?
FPS, 25 frames per second.
Well, that's locked.
Yes,
25.
that is locked. We probably can get maximum 50. We've got quite a high-end computer. Again, I wouldn't be able to tell you the computer, but we've got quite a high-end computer that just drives purely the scenery. We don't have everything on one computer because not being an expert, it'll probably crash the frame rates.
Fair enough. Horn Fox says, any advice for people wanting to start their own build?
The advice I can do is it depends to the extent of the build you want to go to. If you want to build a full sim or something off the desk. The advice I can give you is take your time with it because there's so much involved. And also, when you are building, ask advice from other people, because it's very hard these days to type in the internet 737 build, because there's so much information out there. It's best to speak to people who have done it and they know the pros and cons to certain areas as well. So advice off of other people, that's the advice I give you. It does help out.
Cool. Spin Josh, a weird question. Do you like bacon?
Yeah, bacon sandwich, just a little bit of brown sauce.
Oh, you're a brown sauce
Brown
man.
sauce, not ketchup.
Oh,
Can't
you
stand
can get rid of ketchup. Nobody likes it. Cool. Right. Well, that's his weird one answered. OmniGamer says, what PC specs are you running and how many PCs? You've just touched on PC specs that you're not 100% sure.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I'm sure you can find that out.
Whichever.
The amount of PCs is 3 PCs.
Okay.
One for the main scenery and 2 secondary, not high spec PCs to run avionics.
Which are your displays in the cockpit, your
Correct,
overheads,
yes.
panels, and cool. Right. Spud20516 again asks, do you think that more people are looking to play flight simulators and experience flying a plane or driving a truck or a tractor, etc., in a simulation-based
Yeah,
game?
yeah. I think, minus 5 years off my age is a bit of this, really. I think Flight Simulator back in the day, I think it was, especially, technology is getting better and better and better these days. I think the unknown kind of sensation and, what is actually going off in a cockpit, I think people are a lot more intrigued now. You're not allowed in the cockpit in the real world
Correct.
anymore, which is a big thing. So if you go abroad, you've got a person thinking, really, what is it like to be in there? I think people are wanting to explore that a lot more now. I think, when you say to somebody, I want to buy a flight simulator game, I think the first thing that will come out of the mouth is flight simulator. It's very rare that you hear somebody say boat simulator or truck simulator or farming simulator. I think it's a very grey area these days, and people like to see how it works, and I think that's why people choose flight simulator.
Fair enough. Horn Fox, another one. You come out with some really good questions, but this one was, if you were to start the project again from scratch, what would you do differently?
Personally, the screen would be the difference. The reason being is what we've got here is we don't have enough clearance left and right for a full 180 wraparound. And I've always said that if I was to do it again and maybe I had bigger dimensions, it would be a 180 wraparound just to get that full
immersive feel.
Exactly. That is what I would do different.
Cool. Simmer514 said, compared to a real 737, how accurate is the sim? You've not flown a 737 yourself, but you know people that have been here that have actually flown the real thing.
Yes.
What's their opinion and what's your opinion?
Big opinion of it, it's pretty realistic. Now, in any flight simulator environment, you won't get 100%. And that's even in the big professional sims as well. You're playing with real-world dynamics here that, you won't get 100%. But for the job that it does for a fixed-base simulator and the illusion that you get, control feel, what you see in the sim as well, a lot of the feedback that we've had as well is pretty good. So.
Cool. Hannah Louise says, what processors were involved in creating the sim?
Processors. You'll find the build, the physical build, getting all the pieces, putting stuff together. A lot of screws, a lot of bolts.
A lot of swearing.
Yeah, a lot of swearing, a lot of perseverance. But the other thing as well is, I kind of looked at it at 2 halves really. There was the build, and then there was the programming. From, like I say, I've said in previous questions as well. And after that, once you've put that together, it's the trial and error at the end that's the pain in the bum, it really is, because it's learning, what's right, what's wrong, what do you need to change. So yeah, 3 stages: build, programming, trial and error at the end. Hopefully,
one last one at the end.
Yeah.
Enjoyment. Many hours of enjoyment.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
I could sit here for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and never get bored of this.
Yeah.
If I could take this and put it in my house, I would.
Yeah.
I literally would.
I think just to add to that as well, it's the world of Flight Simulator. It's the ability to press a button, be anywhere,
and go anywhere.
Anywhere. You have no restrictions.
That's it. The only thing is, you need to go from Heathrow to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then when you land, you've got some hula girls sat outside.
Exactly.
And, you've got the full immersive
I'm
feel.
still waiting for the day for a trolley to come around with some drinks, but it never happens.
Well, so Horn Fox again says, what was the biggest mistake during the build, and what was the most expensive mistake?
Mistake. Ooh, good one, that one. There are quite a few.
Quite a few mistakes.
Quite a few, yeah. I think the biggest mistake really was above us. We have quite a big unit for the projectors. However, the biggest challenge that we had was getting the projector through and getting the right sense of depth and what I was looking. Well, we did all that, got all the simulators screwed down, got all the projectors aligned, everything, and then we striked it up and it was just wrong. It really was. So the biggest mistake there, it was absolute pain to unscrew everything, take all the roof down the projector, get everything moved again. You know, you want to get it first time, but unfortunately sometimes you can't get it first time. The most expensive bit, wasn't it, you said, was probably, are we talking components wise, or is it just
anything?
Probably the most expensive was probably the software, because we run as a business, you see. But components wise, probably the overhead panel is probably the most expensive bit when you're seeking an overhead panel for the simulator. So yeah, the overhead.
And last question from, I think the person said that he didn't want his name mentioning, but he
Okay,
says,
that's
can you
fine.
do a barrel roll?
Can I do a barrel roll? I've never attempted it. I don't have unhappy passengers if you do that, but maybe in the future, yeah, I'll try that out.
There you go.
Thanks very much.
Right, so thank you from me for allowing me to come here and fly on your sim. It's been absolutely awesome, and no doubt I'll be back again. And if you want to find out more about this guy and his sim, I'll put some links in the description down below. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.